Hello and welcome back to another video. I am really excited to film this one. It is a very cozy afternoon. I have got my embroideries and Emmy jumper on, the reader one. I am obsessed with it. No matter that it's 27 degrees outside, I am in this, and I am very excited because this is a very long overdue video, and I've got my Stanley, I've got my comfy position on the sofa, and I'm ready to chat to you guys all things about the pop-up. So thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Beth and I'm the founder of Bookish Besties, an online book club for gals who love to read. And about a month ago, it's probably about 6 weeks ago now, I opened my first ever pop-up bookshop, and this is the Q&A that you guys have been asking for. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's go on with the video. So it is now about 6 weeks since we opened, and the pop-up shop was in Fulham in London. I opened it on the Friday to the Sunday, so it was just short of 3 days by the time we opened it and gave the keys back. Honestly, it was the most insane thing I've ever done. Now, I've ran online book communities for almost 5 years. I started running She Made It, which is the book subscription box. Then I paused them at the start of the year to really focus on building the community, and I really wanted to do that through the pop-up shop. The sole goal for me with the pop-up shop was to meet you guys, get us all together, and just celebrate the small businesses that I've had in my boxes for the last kind of 3-4 years, I guess in total I did the boxes, so that you could shop them in real life, you could smell the candles, you could try on the clothes, etc, etc. You could get the vibe yourself of what the box was like. And for me, it was all about connection, and that is exactly what the shop brought. So many of you were meeting in the queues, you were chatting in the shop, at the events, you guys were going for drinks afterwards, you were making friends, swapping numbers, planning book trips, and I was just like, this is exactly what I wanted and exactly why I did it. So yeah, the pop-up store opened for 3 days in Fulham. We did the Friday as a setup. I suppose I'll go into the questions in a sec. Maybe I'll just do a little dump of all the thoughts in my head about the shop, and then we can go into your questions. But yeah, the Friday, my sister came down from Wales, my boyfriend came off nights, and a couple of my friends came to help when I was like, this is too much stuff for me to do in one day. We set up the shop from scratch on the Friday, so we had window stickers of the Bookish Besties logo and loads of hearts and stars that the amazing Jess at Cleat Clothing had drawn for us. We also built the bookshelves, we built the clothing rails, put the clothes up, decorated the shelves, decorated all the merch, and honestly, I finished setting the shop up at probably 7:15 when all of you were coming in at 7:30 for the event. So it was the most stressful day of my life. I'm not gonna lie, that was too much. I think I'd underestimated how long it would take to get my vision to life. I'd had a very clear idea of the shop in my head, and I'd planned it to know exactly where everything went, but building shelves, stocking shelves, building clothing rails, unpacking everything, getting the stock check ready for the night, it was going to take me longer than 12 hours. And if we do it again, I will definitely not host an event the night that we open, because that was too stressful. And in total transparency, I had a panic attack downstairs just before we opened, because I hadn't had time to have a shower, I hadn't had time to get myself visually and mentally where I wanted to be. I was in my sister's skirt, which is when I went outside, and it was legit tucked into my knickers, so everyone had seen my pants. Thank God it was a very friendly all-girl event, so that was a miracle since everyone saw my bum. But yeah, anyway, I had this panic attack downstairs, so literally I think it was all the adrenaline and the pressure I put on myself for it to be perfect for everyone, and I really wanted you all to like it so much, because you'd followed my journey from hiring the space, getting the stock, and all of that when I saw you all, it was so emotional seeing everyone waiting to come into the Cowgirl opening night party that it was just, yeah, overwhelming, I think. So anyway, my friends gave everyone the queue fizz, and we opened I think it was about 7:34 or something, so about 4 minutes late. and everyone was very kind about it, and it was wonderful. The Friday night was a huge success. It was so fun to have cowgirl hats with you all and listen to country music, and you got the access to the shop for the first time, and yeah, it was one of the best moments of my entire life. And then we went to sleep, woke up on the Saturday about 6:30. Then my sister and I got an Uber to the shop, and as we got there was a queue, and I was like, shh, I feel like I say like a lot in this video, so now I've told you, you'll really notice it, so apologies. But I was blown away, trying not to say like now, when we arrived and there was a queue, because I don't know, I think I underestimated like the response, because it's so difficult when you're talking about something online. Like I'm talking to the camera now, or I'm talking to my stories on Instagram or TikTok, and obviously people respond, and we've sold the tickets and all of that, but I think the self-doubt in my head had been like, but people aren't going to come, even though I'd sold tickets, even though people had said, yeah, I'm going to come, because it's something that's so you and so insular and so inside yourself. And I can't tell you what a dream this was for me. It was such, like, it feels like I've made it up in my head. Ever since it's actually happened, I still feel as though it wasn't real. So I cannot tell you how much I didn't think people would show. I didn't believe people would actually be there. So I was just stunned when we arrived, and people had been queuing since 6 a.m. for the shop where we opened at 10:30. So thank you for the commitment. That was nothing like I'd ever experienced, and the queue was just wild. It grew and grew and grew, and I think we gave out 500 bags of cookie dough from Scoopers. We had 400 bottles of matcha that we gave out. We had about hundreds of cans of kombucha, because we still got some of those. We've got a pack of those left. We had bamboo water. So we were like, my friends were pumping that out in the queue. So I do hope everyone got something. And obviously we had the goodie bags for the first 25 people. But anyway, the queue was too much. It was too long. People were waiting too long. And it is a massive learning going forward if we do it again. And I'll come to that more at the end of the video. We'll do timed ticket slots. I just like, I can't tell you how, and I know people have said, well, you sold tickets, so you must have known people were coming. It was just, the self-doubt was too high to hear it. So yeah, next time there'll be timed ticket slots if we do it again, because yeah, we need to take the learnings forward. So heard loud and clear on the feedback, but also everyone was so generous and kind when they got like in the store. Everyone was so friendly, and I can't tell you how grateful I am at how kind you all were. It was just, yeah, it was so appreciated, and everything was getting so intense in that little shop, and I don't know, it was just like nothing I ever could have expected and seen you all. I think I cried like 12 times throughout the day, and so many of you bought like fizz for me to say like well done, and people have made me bracelets and rings, and people bought me chocolates. It was like, I still feel like I've made the whole thing up. I was like, even as I'm talking about it now, it doesn't feel as though it actually happened. But yeah, the support for it was just insane. And then on the Sunday, it was a much quieter day, which was good. We didn't have an empty shop all day, but it was much more tapered, which was much more controllable for us and for obviously all the people visiting. So lots of things to take forward. And then on the Sunday evening, we closed about 4:30, 5 o'clock, I think. And then obviously we had to take the whole shop down. So that took about 4 hours to take all of the shelves down and put it all back in the van and bring the van back and tubed back to the flat with all the stuff. And then we had to like repaint some of the walls, so it was a bit like worn against the shelves, and mop the floor. We had to pay for somebody to come and collect all the cardboard. And honestly, we must have got to bed about 2 a.m. and I did not sleep that whole night. Actually, I didn't sleep more than about 7 hours across the 4 days, because I cannot even explain the adrenaline of that. And after the Saturday, I was sick with worry at the Sunday that if that happened again, we wouldn't have enough stock or staff to survive it. So yeah, like, it was just the most incredible, rewarding, mind-blowing, exciting, adrenaline driving, emotional, stressful 3 days of my life, and I would do it every single day for the rest of my life if I could. So more on that later, but yeah, I apologise for the queues. I will take that on board for next time. But massive thank you for all the kindness, for all of the graciousness and the warmth and the support. You have no idea the impact it's had on me and my life since. So yeah, I think that's top line. Spoke for 11 minutes on that, and let's go on to questions. So one of the questions was about the location. Why do you pick Fulham? Why do you pick London, etc.? So the main reason is obviously I live in London. It's the easiest for me to get to. The dream obviously would then to be able to go broader, but because it's not my full-time job, I need to be in London for my work, and it's just easier for me to be able to get to somewhere which is local. So I could literally finish work on the Thursday night, start to prep, and then we could go Friday to Sunday. I could come back Sunday and then be in work for Monday morning. So yeah, it made it easier. And obviously the population of London is huge. It's very accessible for people to get to in terms of like transport links mostly. So yeah, that is why I was here. I am not a London gal born and bred. I'm very much from North Wales. So Manchester, Liverpool, I hear you. This would have driven me mad as well. The fact that everything always seems to be in London. And very open to doing more northern stuff in the future. I also went to university in Bath, so that is a city very close to my heart, and love a bit of Cardiff. So there is always the scope to do it there. I think because this was my first one, there was a lot of my own money invested in this shop. I really needed to give it the best chance of working, so London made the most sense. And then in terms of why Dawes Road and Fulham, I hunted for that space for probably about 6 months until I found it. So I really wanted it to be very glass lit space. I also wanted it to be very plain, so that our decorations, the colours of the books, the colour of all the stock would be the thing that would pop. And honestly, that little address and that little shop will forever hold a space in my heart. I just adored it. But knowing what I know now, it should have been bigger and should have been air-conned, but it was a brilliant location for the tubes. There was tons of cafes and pubs really nearby, so people could have that, which is amazing. But obviously you don't know when you're doing your first event, like how much will sell, what will be the popular items. All the books I had to pay for up front. So if you think a book on wholesale price is normally like 30 to 50% off. So if I'm trying to fill a bookshop with 500 books and then I'm buying them all up front to fund it, that gives you a benchmark of just how much the books cost me to do. And I have no loans, I have no bank loans, that is all my own cash. So when people, rightly so, are annoyed that there's not enough candles, I buy everything out of my own pocket up front for all the books, all the candles, all the Bookish Besties merch. The rest of the stuff is a slightly different model, but yeah, the cash up front was a lot, and obviously you have to then pay to hire the space, which is why I did the tickets to kind of help to cover that cost to be in a very central part of London. So yeah, a bigger space, more stock, all of that obviously would be a dream, but when you've got no capital to put £10,000 on a shop for 3 days, it needs to be affordable, so it needed to be smaller for this one. So yeah, I hear you, a bigger space, more stock, all of that is the dream, but there has to be the understanding that I have to pay for it myself. So say you're going to do it yourself, you then have to have a few £1,000s to hire the shop, a few £1,000s to buy the books, and then a few £1,000s to buy all the stock in advance. The rest of the stock was done on a different model, which then made it easier for me to balance the cash flow. But it's not a cheap thing to risk the capital for. So I hope that then answers the question as to why the space, why there wasn't enough stock on some of the days, all of that. Hopefully that is clear. Number 2 is how did I pick the books and how did I pick the suppliers. So this also took a very, very, very long time. Luckily, because I'd done She Made It for so long, I had a lot of businesses in mind that I'd loved working with. I'd loved their stock, and so they were like an easy yes, I want to have them in the store. I knew how well their products worked and lasted and how great they were as small businesses, and I really wanted to make sure I could shout about them in the shop and in like the marketing and stuff around it. The rest of the time it just comes from like trawling Etsy. Me and Etsy are like this. So are me and Instagram For You page, we're like this. TikTok, when they're like suggesting me other small bookish businesses, we're like this. So I spoke to hundreds of small bookish businesses before curating the list of who was in the store, and I really wanted it to feel a bit like a treasure trove, you know, when you're like, oh, what's in these Kindle cases, what's in all these stickers, let's smell all the candles. We had 9, what am I doing 9? It's like this, we had 9 different candle flavours or scents, sorry, that it just, I feel like I wanted it to feel very varied and exciting. And we had so many businesses who were doing merch and stuff, so you got a nice mix of romance and fantasy and dark romance and all of the different tropes in the romance genre I really wanted to include in the shop. So yeah, it was a lot of trawling, a lot of questions, a lot of back and forth, but it does mean to move forward I already have a list of people I would and wouldn't work with again. And yeah, it was a massive learning curve, but I'm really, really proud of the curation and the stock and how it looked. But I honestly, what you learn is what works and what doesn't work and what stock people love. Like, I should have quadrupled the candles. They went out within the first couple of hours of us opening, and we had hundreds of them. But you just don't know, and I couldn't be stuck here with hundreds of quite expensive to produce candles, because although it would smell wonderful here forever, I would be broke AF. So yeah, it's a learning curve, but the girls were incredible. I always want to work with small businesses and to promote them in the shop. So yeah, it was incredible. But I would say Etsy, live on Etsy if you love small bookish businesses. Honestly, it's the place to be. Number 3 was all about the queues and the stock, etc. I do feel like I've touched on that previously, but yes, next time, if there's next time, I will be doing ticketed slots. So there'll be, I don't know, hourly, 2 hourly, 3 hourly slots where you can come in, you can shop. It will be ideally as controlled as I can make it. And I will be increasing the stock, some of the most popular items from this one, so I can try and balance it. I would never, ever, ever want you guys to come and not get what you want. I know that happened to a small percentage of you towards the end of the Saturday, and honestly it makes me feel slightly sick that people have come and not had the experience that I wanted them to have. And I would never want someone to come and not have the experience, because I know people travelled really far, and yeah, some people felt like there wasn't enough stock. So I hope my previous answers helped to understand why that was the case and how it ended up with that. But we had to make sure there was stock for people on the Sunday as well. I had to try and balance the cash up front with what I could offer on the day. So lots of learnings. It will all be taken forward to the next one. Number 4, a lot of you are asking for the cowboy playlist, so I will put it in the show notes of this video, because honestly, I've got to say that playlist was a banger. Me and my sister actually made it a couple of weeks before the shop opened when we were having breakfast at home, and it is really good. I do a lot of like writing and creative fiction, just writing as a escape, and I'm constantly listening to that playlist because Long Live Cowgirls, Miles on It, all of them were at the shop. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about, and that playlist was banging. So I will leave the link down below. Bit of a rogue one, but we actually had quite a few people messaged about it, so thank you. Maybe that's the next venture. I'll be a playlist queen. Number 5 was, did it go as you expected? No. Honestly, no. It was way bigger and better than I ever could have expected. Like, I had drawn out the shop so many times and I'd pictured it in my head so many times, and I could see it exactly what it was going to be like in my head, and it just was so much bigger and better than I ever could have, than I ever could have thought. It was just the best experience of my life, and whatever planning and prep and everything you put into it, actually seeing your logo on a shop in London was just like the most incredible thing I have ever seen. And I honestly, like, meeting so many of you and seeing so many of you and chatting to you all, and I don't think I've ever been happier in like a work, hobby, outside of family life place in my entire life. And my mum and my sister came and they were like, we've never seen you like this. I was just on cloud 9 for 3 days. It was the best and hardest thing I've ever done. I've never cried so much, slept so little, eaten so little, but smiled so much ever. And I hope if you had an interaction with me over those days, and I spoke to hundreds of you, so hopefully I got around to everyone who wanted to have a chat, but you'll have seen like how happy I was to be there and to meet so many of you, and I hope you guys felt that from the shop. So yeah, it didn't go as expected in the sense that like it was way bigger and better than I ever could have dreamed of. Number 5, which will be the last question I do for today because this video is already like 25 minutes long, is will I do it again? There's actually one more question after this that I've just thought of, I've been seeing in the comments, but will I do it again? I really want to. Big sip of water. It's a very hard one because it's a lot of work, I've got to be honest, but I don't see how I can't do it again. It was the best thing I've ever done, and the scariest thing I've ever done. But I think it's scarier to not follow your dream and to do it again. And I know that sounds really cringeable, but I'm a really big advocate for just jumping in and following your dreams. And that pop-up was one of my biggest dreams ever. I was going to say my biggest dream is to write a book, and that's a whole other topic of conversation. My second biggest dream was to open a bookshop, and to experience like a glimpse of what that could be like was so emotional and so addictive. So yeah, in a dream world, we would do this again. You and I would do the shop again, and we'd shop, and we'd have hot chocolates, and Bat Boys would turn up, and we'd have like a black red carpet and bookish cocktails and sleepovers in the store and book signings and midnight readathons. And it's not like I've thought about it. Clearly I've thought about it a lot. It's just terrifying, and obviously there's a lot of learnings that I want to take forward so that we can make it bigger and better for all of you next time. So I would say just watch this space. I can't see it not happening again. To be honest, I'm going to just say it. I can't see it happening again. I'm already planning. I'm looking into things. I'm always thinking about it. Do we see a permanent shop in the future? It's always the question I'm getting. Where is your shop based? Where can I visit? And I'm like, oh my God, it's gone. The shop isn't there anymore. And yeah. I think about it every single day, multiple times a day, and hi. You look cute. Right, so do I think it will happen again? Do I think it'll be a permanent shop? I definitely think the pop-up store will happen again. Do I think we'll do? Do you want me to get the door? Sorry about that. So yeah, permanent store, I wouldn't say it's on the immediate horizon because we need to try and do the pop-up to see the learnings and to kind of grow and go from there. So yeah, very much TBC on everything, but I would say it is all I think about. So keep your eyes peeled. But obviously I couldn't have done it without you all, and I wouldn't even be considering it all without you all. So yeah, just thank you so much. It was just the best weekend ever, and I'm so grateful for everyone who came and everyone who's commented and liked and engaged and just been like part of this journey. And I really hope that I can do it again, just to be with you all again, because I feel like that was just the best part of it. So I hope this has answered your questions. I will leave the Cowboy Romance playlist in the description, and yeah, thank you all for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you.